me why this season is so cursed. I don't know what went wrong in this production, but it is such a train wreck, unlike anything we've ever seen before on Love is Blind. Welcome back to the Miscellaneous channel where we do miscellaneous things. I'm Zeleny. I typically cover TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things on this channel, so subscribe if that's your vibe. So today we're talking about episodes 5 through 7 of Love is Blind season 5. You thought season 2 was bad. You thought season 4 was unhinged. You thought season 3 had so many toxic couples. Well, season 5 has got them all beat. But it's still entertaining television, so here we are, seated and watching the mess. If you're not caught up, I made a part 1 talking about episodes 1 through 4 of season 5, and now we're talking about honeymoons, we're talking about moving in together. Now we're only following 2 couples, which is a new record low for Love is Blind. And honestly, that makes my job way easier. Sorry to literally everyone else that just wants a good season of a show. I think the only good thing about this batch of episodes is that we finally got to see Houston, Texas. I was kind of excited before this season that it was going to be set in Houston because that is a place I visit a lot. My boyfriend's from Houston, and literally just last week, right after I posted my Love is Blind video, I went to Houston to watch the amazing, incredible Renaissance World Tour, and it was so fun because we stayed at a really beautiful hotel downtown, and you can actually see it in a couple of the shots that they showed on the season of Love is Blind. We also took the rail to the concert, and they show the rail quite a bit in the Love is Blind shots. Yay, let's support public transit, I guess. Jesus, this season really has me praising public transit, and there's nothing else positive going on, I swear. So let's get into the couples. Let me give my usual disclaimer that we are just watching edited versions of real people. There's no need to send anybody hate or be nasty to anyone. This is gonna be a tough one for me, y'all, because I think I am gonna get a little mean in this video because I took some things personal that we'll get to, but even then, even though I'm mad and angry at a certain contestant, and it might not be who you expect, so stay tuned. I would never go seek them out on like social media or wish harm upon them or something. It's just between you and me. We're just gossiping, chilling, talking about the season, and sometimes you get irrationally angry about some things, but it is just a show. It's not that serious, and it's edited versions of these people. So if I'm being mean or being judgy, it's at this edited persona and within this experiment that they did at a certain point, like a year ago probably at this point. This time the disclaimer, I'm talking to myself with that one. So let's dive into the couples, and starting with Izzy and Stacy. Izzy, Stacy. Okay, so in the honeymoons, they were doing fine. They were doing great. I was like, what could possibly go wrong with these two? But things went wrong eventually. But in the honeymoons, they were very physically affectionate. They have this very like laughy, goofy dynamic where they seem to really get along. They're jokey, but not like bullying each other either. Stacy does accidentally leak that Izzy is bigger than she expected. She like tried to whisper it, but like, oops, the cameras caught it, I guess. And they're also really comfortable with each other. Like Stacy clogs the toilet and they make a joke out of it. It's not a big deal. Which could be like an awkward situation for 2 people that just met. Later on in their honeymoons, they did like a putt-putt golf thing, and Stacy kept making all these sexual innuendos, and for some reason, Izzy didn't seem as into it. They do seem solid, and everything he says about her seems really solid, but sometimes he gets that like Kwame help me face when he's on dates with Stacy, and I'm kind of like confused. But since Kwame's relationship worked out in season 4, I'm like, well, maybe that's just his face. Okay, so once they move in, the problems begin for this couple, and it's like Like, I did not expect this couple to become like the wealth gap conflict couple, but they definitely did. Stacy shows Izzy her 3-story, really nice kind of, I don't know if it's a detached home, townhome, like a really nice 3-story kind of home in this very expensive neighborhood of Houston. I asked my boyfriend Cameron to like watch every Houston scene with me and point out where they were, and this is a very nice, very expensive neighborhood. They do comment on it on the show too, that it's like a nice neighborhood. She loves it, and it's expensive. It's pretty close to downtown. It's really cute, and Houston, if you're not from Texas, like, is not known for being like a cute place. It's very, very huge and suburby. I always grew up thinking of Houston as that, but now that I've been shown around, there are very cute areas of Houston, and now I really enjoy visiting because of it. So anyway, Stacy lives in this nice neighborhood of Houston, and she starts showing this beautiful home, and it looks very nice and it's very furnished. She has all brass silverware that she's very proud of, a huge closet. And this is where she starts opening up the conversation with Izzy about finances, which I'm like, it's a little too late to be talking this in depth about finances, but y'all were busy playing games in the pods, having fun, instead of talking about the real stuff. And now the real shit has caught up to them big time. And if you recall, back when Johnie got rejected by Izzy, she mentioned he had a lot of credit card debt. So when this financial stuff came up, I was like, oh God, Johnie tried to tell us. I just can't with Stacy. Like, this was such a turn for her. I feel like she was so easygoing, and I just didn't totally expect this. So she admits that her family is wealthy. She beats around the bush a bit, which all rich people do. But like, she does say her father is wealthy, but also she believes that the man should always pay for dinner. And she believes in this because growing up, everyone would always take advantage of her dad's money and just expecting like her through her dad to like pay for stuff all the time. And she says she like wants to be treated like someone who has nothing by having like the man pay for every dinner. But like, you don't have nothing. You are rich. Like, why? I can't with rich people. I was just watching this video by Tiffany Ferg. I enjoy her content, and it was about like the culture of like splitting bills and Venmo and that type of stuff, and it was very interesting. And she brought up that talking point about how it's kind of a common known thing that like rich people are way more stingy with their money, or like way more unwilling to just cover the tab or chase you down to pay them back immediately for a bill, even if like, say, their dad is paying for the credit card in the end, you know? This interaction reminded me of that, and I'm just like, why are rich people so stingy? And one of the theories is like, oh, how do you think the rich stay rich? They don't just give away their money. But there's a line, and like expecting a man to pay for dinners every single time you go out, if you're married, that's like so much money. Like, we're not asking her to pay for the whole meal. We're asking her to pay for her half. And then she goes on to say like she wants to travel luxuriously. She wants to eat at really nice places. So it's not like, oh, pay for me on a reasonable budget. It's like, oh, pay for dinner, but also at, you know, fine dining establishments, which is just so weird to me. And it's not that weird on this show. I've seen a lot of the couples through the seasons believe that the man should pay for meals all the time. That's just not how I operate. That's not how people in my circles operate. And I'm in a very different universe than these people. But at the same time, it just feels like unfair. Like, if you're married, like, not share the costs of food, because eating out is something people do pretty frequently. It feels like freeloading on her end to just get free food all the time, you know? But I don't know, these people believe in way more like traditional gender roles and shit. I think also my tolerance and empathy for wealthy people is at an all-time low. Like many people post-pandemic, it's like, I have no empathy for you whining about like, oh, treat me like I don't have money, even though I do. And I'm very much of the mentality that like, if you have it, spend it. Treat your friends once in a while. Like, it's treat your partner once in a while. It's not about gender or whatever. But people have very different opinions on that. I don't know. This is where Stacy started becoming a bit bratty to me and just entitled, like feeling like she's owed Izzy paying for everything. And Izzy has very rational responses. Honestly, through these whole episodes, Izzy came off really well. Like, I'm scared to like definitively be like, Izzy's amazing, I love him, like he's great. But so far he's been pretty great. Every conflict he's encountered, he's handled with a lot of grace, and he like pushed back and said like he's never been in a relationship like that where the woman wants fine dining and expects him to pay every time. And she said like she's never been asked to pay for a meal, which I'm like, I don't, girl. It started becoming very clear that they come from different worlds and like different social classes. I don't know. And then that got even worse when they toured Izzy's apartment, which his apartment was very clean. It's one of the cleanest of the men we've seen on this show. It is very live, laugh, love vibes, but he's self-aware about it. He said it's like kind of Hobby Lobby vibes in here. Sorry. She picked a fight with him because he had this bin in his bathroom of like lost and found from hookups he had in the past. And he said it just kind of as a joke, and showed it to her. She kind of laughed in the moment. Then they went to keep touring the house, and then she opened his kitchen cabinet and saw that there were, God forbid, paper plates and plastic plates. It wasn't just disposable plates and cups. There were real plates and cups too, but they were plastic, like the kind you get at Target. And so I believe this is what sent Stacy over the edge. I mean, she makes it pretty clear. I mean, she has brass silverware in her home, so the audacity to have a disposable piece of dishware was an abomination to her. But she started picking a fight with Izzy about the lost and found bin first and was like, I'm actually kind of uncomfortable with that. Why wouldn't you throw that stuff out? And just starts getting really mad. And Izzy's like, sorry, I just don't think of it like that. It doesn't hold sentimental value. I just forget about it and it's just there. Izzy's just very adamant about presenting himself very honestly to her and raw. And she believes he should have dumped that shit the night before, that she threw away all her pictures in respect of him now and expected him to do the same. And she's like trying to blame him, saying like, oh, you want me to think you're a fuckboy. And it's all on purpose. And he's just like confused, like, no, I wasn't thinking about it that hard. I'm big time team Izzy in this argument for many reasons, but like, I genuinely think Izzy just thought she'd find it funny. They have had this goofy, playful relationship this whole time since the pods, and the Stacy that we met in the pod seems like would have found it kind of funny, like jokey, raunchy for him to have a lost and found bin. Also, I'm someone that like, I never throw shit away, and I have like executive dysfunction, out of sight, out of mind issues. So maybe I just also kind of relate to that mentality of not throwing away stuff. On top of like criticizing him about this, she keeps making digs about the paper plates and is like, if you were to cook for me, you wouldn't want to impress me. You would serve it on plastic. Like, it's the most disgusting thing. And she's like shocked he's cooked for women in the past and like served them on plastic plates, which is just so out of touch, I feel like, on her part. Like, okay, again, maybe I just relate to Izzy, but I love plastic plates because they're so much lighter. I feel like real dishes are just so heavy and annoying that like, I just prefer plastic plates and lightweight plates. And I learned that lesson like a few years ago, and I've never gone back to like heavy, like breakable plates because they're just annoying. Stacy grew up literally with a gold spoon in her mouth. Not literally, but she does have gold spoons now. And Izzy says she's being a bit materialistic and she keeps cutting him off. And he's like, please don't cut me off, very calmly. And she walks out and is pissed about that. And Izzy does a really sweet thing and goes out and comforts her. And off camera, apparently they talk it out and they're fine. Izzy's just so nice. I very much see his star potential. He's gonna be a, reality TV star, influencer. Like, we know. He's like just very charming and nice and sweet, and I mean, hopefully he doesn't do something crazy that like makes me regret saying all this, but like, no, in these episodes, He's been nothing but nice to Stacy when she's acting like a brat and being so judgmental about, like, yeah, materialistic things. I think she got offended about the materialistic comment because she knows it's true. So after this fight, they go and meet Stacy's family. And I want to bring your attention to the costume change of Stacy, like before the fight and the scene after. It's one of those cool moments in reality TV that like feel like fiction, like stranger than fiction. You know how in movies, a lot of the time when a main character goes through a big change, usually after like the midpoint of the movie, their costuming will change to reflect whatever change. Like if someone was reserved and they were always wearing like a jacket and jeans before, and they have some sort of like aha moment and now they're wearing like a dress or something. Like a character goes through a big change and their costuming reinforces that change visually to the audience. It was so interesting how, whether it was coincidence or what, Stacy showed this kind of arc here. Every scene before the fight, Stacy presented kind of like this cool, chill girl, kind of like athleisure vibes in her presentation. Denim, like chill shirts, I don't know. After the fight, it's kind of revealed that she is a little bit entitled, like this rich girl, bratty kind of mentality, in my opinion. The next time we see her, she is dressed like Blair Waldorf or something. Like she looks straight out of Gossip Girl. She has like a pearl headband and like a pretty dress. And I think it's just coincidence that she's seeing her family who like expects her to dress a certain way, or like that's how she dresses when she's around her family or something, or it's just like she just wanted to dress up that day or whatever. But it was just such an interesting like narrative reinforcement of how Stacy went through a turning point. It was so interesting how the costuming like reflected that. And it's not costuming, it's like real, right? But it just felt like a movie moment to me. Life imitates art, I don't know. The meeting of the family is so, I felt so bad for Izzy because they are just like, haha, remember our 2-week trip to France where we had a whole suitcase full of shoes? Ah, that was such a great time. Oh my god, can you believe Izzy's never been anywhere? He just got a passport yesterday. Like, he's never even been to New York. It was very, very that. And I felt so bad for Izzy just being like the butt of the joke. Not really, but like, and her family is very nice and accepting and all, but like, it's just these like out of touch rich people things, I feel like, that don't come off well, and they have no idea how it's coming off. Izzy and her dad have a one-on-one conversation, and the dad is actually supportive of the whole Love is Blind thing, but he's also very skeptical because he is aware of how Stacy wants luxury. He can kind of sense, you know, Izzy might not be in that place. I mean, I feel like rich people can smell money a mile away. This quote is just perfection. Like, he's like, yeah, love is blind or whatever, but, you know, sometimes love wants to fly first class. And it's just like, oh my god, I can't believe you just said that. And Izzy is like unfazed. He's not worried about it. I feel like he's bluffing, but you know, you gotta do what you gotta do. Izzy does not seem like at that level of, you know, providing first class vacations and dinners and fixing ACs for her home and renovations and all that. I don't want to make it seem, I don't know, you know, I think a lot of us are not rich, so like, you know, it's easy to rag on rich people, and sure. I think rich people get so defensive about like, oh, I work hard and I earned all these things that I have, this home, this car. We saw she had a Mercedes in her garage. Like, people like Stacy and rich people in general, they get so defensive because, you know, they do work hard in their everyday life. They do have a job that maybe takes hard work, and they pay for a big amount of what they maintain. But like, it's about the setup. It's about like, if you fail, you have someone to fall back on. If you need a down payment for this home, you have someone to gift it to you. If you need a loan for this renovation, you have someone to give you a loan, like without interest or, you know, strings attached. It's if you need furniture, you have someone that gives you hand-me-downs of nice pieces. All of these things combined just set you up for so much more success. And even if you still work hard, work every day, have a regular job. That doesn't make that privilege and that setup and that safety net like kind of unfair when so many people are just struggling and paycheck to paycheck. And it's the same thing as the nepo baby conversation. It's all of that. It's like you still need talent and hard work to like keep the wealth or the fame or whatever it is going, but like the wealth or fame or whatever connections get you in the door to have a successful life. And then if you're good and hardworking, you can maintain it and keep it going. But most people are not offered that luxury and have to start from zero in their lives. So anyway, lots of like theoretical big things with this couple. One interesting thing about meeting their family is that they did mention they're okay if they have kids and they're okay if they don't have kids. And for me personally, that's not a revolutionary concept in the slightest, but for Love is Blind, that's pretty groundbreaking for a couple to say they're okay not having kids. Like, never in my life did I think I would hear that. So let's talk about the Pod Squad meetup. The episode 7, the last episode of this batch, ends with everyone from the Pod Squad mingling, and it's a lot of like confronting, you know, exes and all that. And for Izzy, that means confronting Johnie. They have their talk, and I mean, Izzy basically calls Johnie out for her hypocrisy and two-facedness in the pods, which we already talked about in part 1. But Johnie just like doubles down and is like, no, I meant what I said and blah, blah, blah. And it's like, girl, let it go. But she doesn't, and she cries because Izzy's like, everyone thinks you're sketchy because you said opposite things to me and Chris. Johnie gets pissed about that being called sketchy. And it's just like, girl, I don't know. I feel like she should have just been like, you know what? We're both in different relationships. Let's move on. Sorry, I was confused in the pods. I don't know. She should have just kept it brief and not doubled down so hard, I think. And Stacy gets really nasty when Johnny's around too. We learned from Renee, our good homegirl Renee, who tells us the tea. I'm so glad she's back. She says that like Stacy said she wished she had shat in the cookies that Johnie ate. And it's just like, girl, that's too much. Like, I get not liking her, but like she's just like kind of a mean girl side of Stacy comes out. And that's why I feel like that fight was a turning point with paper plates and whatever, because there's a dark side to Stacy that came out, and I don't think it's like going back in or hiding. And just a quick update on Chris and Johnie, which is I'm mad about, but whatever. Chris and Johnie are dating now. We left them where Chris broke up with Johnie, and then they met up at the airport going home and started dating. I'm just like, Chris, no, where's the dignity? We worked so hard to get in the last episode. Someone in my comments, and a lot of people have mentioned, they've compared like Chris and Johnny's situation with Zach and Bliss last season. That's an interesting one because if y'all roll back the tapes of season 4 and my recaps, I was not for Zach and Bliss. Like, I was like accepting it just because a lot of people were so invested in them and liked them, and so I was just trying to see y'all's side of that. But like, but I was still honest in my recaps, and I was just like, I kind of hope she says no, because Zach screwed her over. She was second choice and all of that. Up until the very end when they finally said yes, I was like, well, I guess I gotta accept this now because it is what it is. I was not for Chris and Johnie getting together, and I was not for Zach and Bliss getting together. I'm consistent in my opinion that Chris and Johnie shouldn't have gotten together for Chris's dignity's sake, and that Zach and Bliss shouldn't have got together for Bliss's sake. Now that they've been married and they seem happy together and they're a successful couple, I accept Zach and Bliss and all that. They seem like a nice, happy couple. But also a different thing about Chris and Johnie versus Zach and Bliss is that Zach and Bliss, like, they broke the experiment a bit, but they got back in line. They got engaged really quick to like catch up to all the couples, and they got married. So I think that's part of why people like Zach and Bliss so much. Like, I think audiences of Love is Blind, more than anything, they want to see the love. They want to see true love. And they can't help, like, if someone's engaged and happily engaged and then says yes at the altar, I think that wins over most of the audience and people fall in love with their love story. And I think that's kind of the difference with Chris and Johnie. Like, Chris and Johnie like broke the experiment and then just started dating, which is more low stakes. Maybe people aren't as enthused. I don't know how people feel about them now. and if they're interested in their relationship, I would love to hear about it. They haven't been like swept back into like the show's format or anything, and they're just kind of like how Jackie and Josh were, just like an extra couple that we might follow a little bit, but like is not a main attraction of the season. So let's talk about Taylor and JP. Oh my god, I don't know how I'm gonna get through this couple without getting nasty because this pissed me off so much. Taylor and JP were just awkward since their reveal, and in the honeymoons she keeps like trying to make conversation, to talk to him, to like get him to tell her like what's wrong, and he just like responds by like grunting. It's infuriating. He keeps saying nothing's wrong, and Taylor admits to him like, last night I cried multiple times because I'm so overthinking everything. And he's like, okay. And then she's like, well, I feel better now because I cried multiple times. And he's like, good. And it's just like, and he's like, I left the toilet seat down, like expecting a round of applause, like bare minimum shit. He talks about how it's weird to live with a woman, which is starting to imply like his real reason that we find out later. Like I just knew something was up that he wasn't saying. And they go on this adventurous like ATV riding date. He's very like, well, I'm adventurous, so let's see if she can be adventurous, if she can keep up. In the moment, I felt kind of like, is he trying to imply like she's too high maintenance to be adventurous? And yeah, I think that's what he was doing in hindsight. When they meet everybody, Taylor really starts feeling bad about her relationship because the other two couples are normal and like having physical chemistry and getting along normally. And her and JP are just her asking questions and him grunting. Like the only response he gives is like either I'm hot or I'm sweaty. And there's one point where he's like, I don't know what I can do or say to make you like want to be here. Say anything. Like do anything. Like he doesn't. Oh, he's the most infuriating contestant. And y'all, let me be irrational about somebody. Like I try to be really neutral in these videos because I don't really get that invested. Like, I don't care that much about these people. Even when they're villains, they're, like, entertaining. But I guess maybe that's what it is. Like, this man is, like, not even, like, a villain, so he's not entertaining. He's just dry and, like, says nothing, just sitting there sweating. His only trait is flag, and, like, he has this beautiful woman trying her best and being so kind to him, and he's just grunting. Like, it's not entertaining television, and it's not nice or good for anybody. So it's just like, get him off the TV. Like, Charlie, do something. I think it's appropriate for this man. I throw out as many Drag Race references as I can just to spite him. They finally have the fight about like what is going on with them, and they're both blaming each other for not getting past the awkwardness, the initial awkwardness from the reveal. It's definitely his fault. Like she has tried every single thing she can to make it not awkward and make conversation, and he has given nothing. Eventually, he finally fucking admits why he's not into this relationship, and this is what just pushed me over the fucking edge. It was that he was mad that she wears makeup, and that in the reveal he saw her and just thought she was so fake. It says when she puts on makeup, she's like putting on a whole new face with such disgust. This is where I was like the most, I think, ever in Love is Blind history. And there's been many times, but like this is one of those moments where I just viscerally was like, dump him. Like Britney Spears shirt, dump his ass. Fuck this guy. Get him out of my sight. I think this is personal to me because I love makeup. I literally tried to go a little harder with my makeup today, just a little bit, to spite him out of pettiness. He lets the floodgates open. He's like, he was so worried he was gonna have to deal with that, as in like deal with her putting on makeup like in their lives, and says like, just don't wear makeup again. And she's like, no, obviously I'm not gonna do that. And I'm so glad. I mean, obviously, you know, Taylor's a strong woman and she is great at makeup, and she did not like accept this. Just men that don't appreciate glamour give me such an ick. Like, it just stinks of misogyny to me. And again, it's personal to me. Maybe other people feel different. I just love glamour, and to me it's like underappreciated by like the mainstream culture. Like, people don't understand what goes into like a glamorous person, the maintenance of it, the skills, the artistry. Like, people do not respect it, and I just take that very seriously and personally. This is the rantiest video I have ever made, I think. Screw this man. And he dares to say that 99% of women would love to hear that they look better without makeup. Bitch, no, they do not. Go back to 2010 and sing What Makes You Beautiful, because not in 2023, we don't believe that anymore. He needs to go back home, go on farmersonly.com, find himself a trad wife or whatever's trendy these days. Get the hell away from the glamour girls. And Taylor is way too beautiful in any level of makeup and glamour. She was so kind to him after this fight and was still trying to say like, I know you have a good heart. And the man was like seeing red, like vicious, and she's still like, I'm gonna go sleep in another room, but I know you have a good heart. Let's talk about this in the morning. Let's think it through. And it was just so sad. Conservative guys and these types of men hate femininity and like want to suppress it in any way they can. So the morning after, they do talk. It's very somber, and she gives back the ring, thank God, and they break up. Taylor is a gem. She was trying so hard, trying her best. I wish her the best. I wish her like a beautiful, sweet career. She's like a kindergarten teacher. That's like adorable. Like, good for her. Keep up the glamour. Never let some crusty man diminish your feminine light. The feminine energy is behind you, girl. And that's how I was feeling when she broke up with him. It was just like, yes, good riddance. Later on in like the Pod Squad party, Carter, who's the other bald guy, mentions like, oh, I wish my daughters would date someone like JP. So like, throw both men in the trash. I don't care. I don't want to hear from them again. I think it's for the best. I mean, I think the two couples we have left can't work out. I think Izzy and Stacy have their wealth gap thing that just seems too difficult to like come to an agreement on or a good balance on. Taylor and JP are done, and now we get to Milton and Lydia, who I also definitely don't think should get married. All of the couples are doomed. They're cursed. The season's cursed. It's over. So we do see Milton and Lydia's reveal, and you know, they're very affectionate, but at the same time, like, Lydia does see the 24 in him and that she expected not this. Milton does say, like, she's bossy, but, like, his best friend. And I feel like after the reveal, he kind of gets distracted by her being attractive. Or sometimes, like, she'll just kiss him, I feel like, to, like, distract him from, like, their issues as a couple. Poor Milton, like, he barely fits in the reveal door. He is so freaking tall. And the height difference between this couple is insane. She's literally like half his height. He's 6'7". He looks at Lydia like that meme where it's like he literally did that. And it was the meme. So in the honeymoons, they are very steamy. They're the people we see in the steamy shower. I don't know how they let the cameras in there, but they're like peeking through the shower and they're getting hot and heavy there. But something about their dynamic is very like teasing and bullying, that type of relationship, which is a thing. Maybe it works for some people, but having that dynamic all the time, I think, can get pretty exhausting and not be super sustainable in the long run. And they do that a lot. It kind of seems like it's the only way they can like communicate and like relate to each other, is they just are always like roasting each other. And again, I think most couples do this like to an extent, but they do it like non-stop, and like that's all they do. Another thing is like they like poke on their actual insecurities, like especially her. She'll be like, oh, you look 24, actually you look 21, which I feel like is one of Milton's biggest insecurities, and she's just like milking that exact thing. But Milton stands his ground, and he's like always calling her old in revenge, which is shady, but like good for him. He's really good at standing his ground. And there's one point where Lydia is trying to like test or it feels like she's trying to test like these controlling, manipulative tactics and trying to force him to wear like these black shorts to match her outfit. And Milton actually stands his ground and does not wear the black shorts. And she tries everything. She tries like forcing him, like, you have to, saying please, like trying to do puppy eyes. Like, I feel like she tries like many levels of manipulation and does not succeed, which I think is good for Milton, like good for him. And I think it shows her that she can't control him the way she might want to. So once they move in, their problems are a lot about just, they seem to be in different stages of their lives, and Lydia is kind of like, just seems like a difficult person, to put it very nicely, I think. Also, when they move in, Milton says that he is gonna have to do some night shifts for his job. I found this interesting actually because they like never acknowledge how like they all manage to get so much PTO or time off from their jobs to go on these shows. Milton took a bunch of PTO to go on the show, and now he has to work night shifts because his team is like behind on a project. He works in engineering. That makes sense. I'm like, oh yeah, like that's work, and that's real jobs, and that's how they work, and you can't just be taking all this PTO and not have any consequences. But the awkward thing is like they're moving in together, and now they're gonna have opposite schedules. Sometimes, it's unclear how many times, but at least a few times a week. And so Lydia goes to Milton's apartment and of course tears it apart. I mean, she says it gives undergrad vibes, and it does. It very much does. I don't know why he likes cowhide rugs so much. I mean, hate to agree with Lydia, but like, I'm not into the rugs either. I mean, I think because I don't like slaughtered animals, but like, he has these rugs. And he has like a roommate that comes in with like a backpack, and it's just giving very college. Milton and Josh just kind of bro out a little bit in front of Lydia. Josh was actually really funny, and Milton and Josh were just giving Gen Z vibes all over the place. And they like mentioned getting Liddy, and Lydia has no idea what that means. Which, like I talked about last week, like there's the millennial Gen Z divide. I mean, granted, a lot of people I know as a millennial know the word Liddy. I think Lydia is just maybe behind on that one, but like, it was just funny to see a little bit of that generational difference. To top it off, Milton and Josh talk about playing competitive Pokemon, which again, I understand what they're talking about, but Lydia obviously has no idea, and she's just like, oh my god, this man is 24, which like, I'm 29 and love Pokemon still, but like, I could see to someone like Lydia who's not into any nerdy shit like that, that seems very childish, right? And they also meet Lydia's family. It's her mom and her brother, the only potential gay representation we get on a Straight Love is Blind season, to be honest. And the brother is actually really nice and tries to be an ally to Milton. I feel like the whole dinner he was trying to like warn us about Lydia's red flags. He was like, once she gets pregnant, I am out. He casually calls her demanding at a certain point. So the brother is trying to tell us. He's trying to tell us the real tea about Lydia. And the mom is basically just happy that they want kids at all. So in the Pod Squad meetup, it gets kind of messy. I mean, really messy actually, because Uche shows up and he wants to talk to Lydia. The Lydia and Uche past is so confusing. Like, I kind of lost track, but I'm gonna try my best. I'm focusing on Lydia's side first, which is where Uche confronts Lydia about like what went wrong in their past relationship, and that Lydia was acting pretty creepy, like watching stories of like people Uche follows a lot, or like taking a picture of his house and saying like, I see you, and sending it to him, like stalker behavior type stuff. And he confronts her about that, and she's like has excuses for it all and doesn't think it's a big deal. She blames the Instagram thing on the Instagram algorithm. She blames the house thing on like, oh, I was just in the neighborhood and we were already in a conversation, so it was just like a playful thing. But they just argue, and Uche keeps calling her dishonest, and she just gets pissed and is just yelling. Like, they're both kind of just yelling at each other, and she walks out and really pissed and runs away. She does confess that like Uche cheated on her. She's really mad that he was so hard on Aaliyah and the hypocrisy. In this pairing, it's really hard for me to know who to believe because Uche is also a very unreliable narrator. So I think the things he's accusing Lydia of, like, maybe happened. I mean, they probably happened, and that makes her like a weird, creepy, stalkery person. But Lydia's issues with Milton and their relationship are like, they have issues already. And even if the Uche stuff wasn't in the picture, like, Lydia and Milton's issues are very much there, and she's like, seems very controlling, seems very manipulative, talks down to him, is teasing him too much, like criticizes his like ears and his nose, and you know, it's like nitpicking at him and stuff. The Uche stuff, like, I take it or leave it. Like, I don't know where the truth starts and ends with this duo, but like, I think Lydia has enough issues that like, this is just like an extra issue to add to Lydia, that she already has like a lot of issues. I don't know, you know what I mean? Like, I just don't know who to trust in that Uche Lydia thing. And so that brings us to Uche and Aaliyah and their confrontation, which they almost got engaged, and then Aaliyah ran away. Uche calls her, like, with the producer's help, and they talk about it, and he gets really mad at her again, kind of like talks down to her, lectures her, like, if you can't handle this situation, you can't handle marriage. Aaliyah does say like what pushed her over the edge is like an exchange with Lydia, and she left, which I think is good. A lot of people in my comments last video like really support Aaliyah leaving, and like, I agree. Like, I think it's just too much mess. Like, just cut your losses at this point. Like, there's no need to invest more time into like a relationship that started this messy. In the phone call, Aaliyah also says like she's unsure if like Uche and Lydia maybe planned to get on the show, like to be on TV together. She says it's fishy that Uche and Lydia both ended up there because Lydia implied at the beginning of the experiment that she might run into someone. So like, Lydia basically knew Uche was gonna be in the pods. Uche denies this and says like, that's ridiculous, whatever, and that he doesn't want to talk to her again. But they do meet up for lunch in person. Aaliyah is actually very regretful that she left and wants to keep a relationship, but Uche is not having it, because after the pods, Aaliyah did try to contact him, then blocked him on Instagram, then unblocked him, and it's just been very wishy-washy. And I agree, like, Aaliyah seems better off just not dealing with Uche. It doesn't seem great for her mental health, and it's just like not worth it. Uche does talk about these things we already talked about Lydia, about her invading his privacy, and that's why he cut it off. And then he felt bad, so he like took her back because she was in a bad place. But then when she got therapy and got healed, he broke it off again. Later they talked again. Like, I lost track of how many times they were like on and off and on again. And Aaliyah does say that like in the pods, Uche did seem still concerned about like Lydia and Milton's relationship, and was like judging them and saying like, oh, Milton's not ready for marriage, not ready for Lydia and stuff like that. So Aaliyah was not appreciating that he was still like invested in Lydia's love life like at all, and that was kind of a red flag, which, yeah, agreed, red flag. She reiterates that she has this theory that did Uche and Lydia plan to be on Love is Blind together. She even says like, what, y'all should have just gone on the ultimatum, which I'm sure the producers loved that plug. It's a interesting food for thought. Do y'all think Lydia and Uche planned to be on TV and like broke up to be on the show? That's what Aaliyah is claiming, like, as a theory. I think it's possible, to be honest. I'm surprised more people don't just like have a secret relationship back home and just like fake everything. And maybe they do, I don't know. But yeah, Uche's not interested in continuing a relationship, and I think it's good. Aaliyah in that moment wants one, but I'm like, girl, you're gonna change your mind later. Like, this man has a lot of red flags. We have these theories going on. We don't know what's true. And he's unreliable. Like, he's condescending. He lectures her about stuff. He's very holier than thou. The whole cheating thing is very fishy, that he got so condescending about it while being hypocritical, and like, maybe he cheated on Lydia. Maybe he admitted to cheating on someone in the past. So those are the episodes. I think this video ended up just as long as the other one somehow. I had a lot of rants this one. I hope y'all don't mind a little rantier video. It just gets to me sometimes, you know? I gotta let out and vent, and I've had it with some of these contestants, and this is one of the messiest seasons, like in a bad way, not in a fun reality TV way. We got two couples still engaged, and neither of them should get married. They have fundamental structural issues that cannot be fixed. I don't think they will get married. There's no way. So that's all I have for this part. I still want to plan to do a live stream on October 13th talking about the finale of this season. I'm not quite sure how they're gonna drop the reunion. Okay, so I looked it up and Love is Blind UK came up. I don't know what's going on there. Oh god. So I'm not sure how they're gonna structure the finale and reunion. October 6th, which is next weekend, 2 episodes drop, and I don't know if that includes the finale. And then October 13th, some other episode drops, which might be just the finale, just the reunion. Maybe it's just the reunion. I can't tell. So if the finale ends up dropping next week, I might not do a Love is Blind video and just wait until October 13th, the live stream, to talk about the last 3 episodes, maybe? I don't know yet, but we'll definitely do a live stream October 13th. TBD if there's a video in between this and then. I wish they were more clear about what's what that's coming, but it is what it is. It's still on for 7:15 p.m. Central Time, October 13th, talking about the finale of season 5. After this Love is Blind season wraps up, and I need to see what's going on with this UK thing, but I kind of want to do some live streams talking about The Golden Bachelor, because I just watched that premiere. It's available on Hulu. It just premiered this week. It is so good. It's probably like the most compelling and interesting like dating show I've seen in a very, very long time. Aside from maybe queer seasons of dating shows, like it is just so different. Such a breath of fresh air to have like people in a different stage of life and that have like literally never been represented on reality TV. And because that's a show airing like on TV and it has like new episodes week to week, it might be a fun one to like discuss live maybe every couple weeks or something. And then maybe when the season wraps up, I'll do like a regular video kind of like talking about general thoughts about the whole season arc. But like, let me know if y'all are interested in that, because that's a dating show and it's definitely interesting, and this season is very unconventional. So I recommend the premiere. Like that intro got me like tearing up, like it was goddamn up. So I'm excited to like cover that eventually in some form, whether live stream, video, or both. And yeah, let me know what you think about Love is Blind season 5. Sorry I didn't get to like respond to a lot of your comments in the first part. I did read them as usual. Literally after I posted that Love is Blind video, I went to Beyonce, and then Cameron got COVID and now I'm like, am I gonna get COVID? I'm kind of scared. So I'm like in a stressful state. Hopefully I stay okay or have it mild if I get it. It's just been kind of like a whirlwind week and super busy at work and all these things. So hopefully this weekend will be a little more chill, and the upcoming couple of weeks are a little more normal for me. Let me know what you think so far of this train wreck of a season. Sorry I went hard on some contestants. It's not that serious. I just had to vent. Please like this video and subscribe to my channel if you enjoyed. I put out new videos whenever I feel like it about TV, pop culture, internet trends, and other miscellaneous things. And you can follow me at miscellaneous on Instagram or Twitter to find out about new videos, or just turn on the bell notification here on YouTube. Thank you so much for watching. I'll catch you in the next one. Bye.